Hi everyone, it's Evangeline right here at eTrailer. Today we are going to review the Let's Go Aero V-Lectric Bike Rack. This is going to be a very interesting bike rack, popular with people that have motorhomes or larger vehicles and larger bikes. We're going to talk about some of the fun features it has, like how it really is an affordable RV rated rack that slides out for more clearance and also gives you some really good ground clearance. But we're also going to give some tips and tricks to handle some potential pain points, like how it might be a hassle to get certain bikes up there and how there might be potential rim and frame contact. So we're going to tackle all those different features and details here at etrailer.com. What I've found is that with all the different options for bike racks, they're usually designed for a very specific need. What I've found this really shines in is when you have a motorhome or a van and you want something that works well with that, this is going to be a good fit for you. But it doesn't mean it won't be a good fit for other situations. So we're going to cover those different features, and I'll also give you some suggestions if you need something that's different than this. So where we're going to start with today in this video is from the very beginning, getting your rack and fitting it onto your vehicle. Your bike rack is going to consist of the twin tube base along with the bike rack brackets, and this is going to fit into your 2-inch hitch receivers. Now this is a very hefty base system, fully loaded. The carrier itself is already 80 pounds, not including the weight of your bikes. So double check your hitch receiver on your vehicle or your motorhome to make sure it can handle this rack. For clearance, you do have two options for attaching your rack, but your preset option is going to be the closest hitch pin hole. That's going to be the one that has the nut and where it threads to. So you're going to push the base into your hitch receiver until your hitch pin hole lines up. To see if this will fit on your hitch, as well as if this will clear your bumper or any other parts of your vehicle, the distance from the center of the hitch pin hole to the closest point is going to be 5.5 inches or 7.5 inches, depending on which hitch pin hole you use. You have these anti-rattle bolts that you will use to secure it. For the hitch side, you're going to have a split washer and a flat washer. And this operates with a spring, so you do have to push the bolt in and then turn in order to catch that thread. Once that's in place, you can then use a 7/8 inch socket wrench, and you will use this to really tighten it down until that washer flattens out. This is going to be your base. Something that a lot of people have noticed is that this rack does not fold up. So this is the length that you are going to have to deal with behind your vehicle at all times. So measuring from the center of the hitch pin hole to the end of the carrier where the reflector is, that's going to be either 40 inches or 42 inches in distance, depending on where you have it installed in your hitch. This is also when you would make an adjustment for where you want your bike rack. This base here can be installed over here or further back, depending on your clearance needs. Once you've decided on where you want to put it and how far you need this rack to slide out, now you can install the wings. Now these are what your bikes will attach to, and these fit right into that twin tube base bracket. This is also very popular amongst Class B motorhomes like your Sprinter vans or Express vans, because this sits 6 inches above where your hitch receiver is. So if you measure in the inside corner edge of your hitch to the bottom of the rack, that's going to be 6 inches. That will also be a brief estimate for where this will sit in case you need to double check if your doors will still open. To make that process a tad bit easier, what I like to do is I slide out the twin tubes. These slides are held in place by a bolt, similar to what you find in your hitch receiver. Now, if you choose to, you can also just use a clip instead of a lock, which would make this process faster. Once that's released, you just grab the rack and slide it out. The distance this slides out is determined by where you install this safety cable. So if you need even more distance or clearance, you can get up to or over 22 inches of slide out space. The rack is made of steel with honestly good black powder coat finish. But something that they added to this too is they give you wax. This wax can be applied on the twin tubes. I do recommend refreshing this over time, and that makes that slide out process a bit smoother, but also prevents scratching up of your rack. When you load up your bikes the first time, it will probably take a bit of time to get the perfect fit unless you luck out on your first try. So to make that process a bit easier, what I do is I loosen the cradles. These will be adjusted by wing nuts, and this will allow you to slide them up and down. And for the bottom cradles, I actually remove the cradles. So if you lift up on the lever, you're able to take out the stand. With your bike rack, you're actually going to have two options for cradles. You're going to have this really wide fat bike one, or you can use the standard bike, which is great for your road bikes or your thinner mountain bikes. And when you're ready, just pop them right back in. So go ahead and remove your bottom cradles. When loading up two bikes, make sure that the chains are facing away from the bike rack. Also, you are going to have to adjust your cradles up and down. And when you get your bike on there, I do recommend focusing on that first wheel first. So you're going to lift your bike up on to the cradle, hook that in there, and then you're also going to hook the rear wheel. Drop it and let it settle. Double check to make sure that you're not having clearance issues with your pedals, your handlebars, or your seats. Now we're going to plan out our lower cradles. Securing the front wheel is really important. While there are 4 potential touch points, the most important thing is to have at least 3, and 2 of those touch points being in the front, because you're going to secure the top part of that wheel, but you also need to secure the bottom part. And for that lower cradle, find a spot that lines up underneath your tire, and that way you can strap the tire down to that cradle. This will give force both at the top and the bottom of your front wheel. Those rubber straps stretch up and over, so pull them as tight as you can before fitting them into the nub. For the rear wheel, there usually isn't very good of a fit because you tend to make contact with the chain or you run out of space for that bottom cradle. So if it makes sense and seems like it's safe, I would still try to attach the cradle somewhere and make the strap go around the tire just to provide that little extra support. It took me a couple of tries, and I did have to adjust the cradles up and down a bit to get the best fit on our tires, but I think everything looks pretty sturdy. What I know some people do is that they would actually take a picture once they finally got their rack all set up, and that will help them remember where to put their bikes the next time they have to set them up on the rack. Now, if this seems like it might be a little bit too much work, especially once you have your 60-pound electric bikes, there are some other options for you in the Let's Go Aero range. There is the ramp add-on, and that will turn this almost into a platform rack. And then you can also use the ramp to ramp your bikes up and onto the rack. That is going to be something separate, but you can find it here at eTrailer. But before you drive away with your bikes loaded up, always make sure that your base is back into its drive position and that you have the bolt all secured in those tubes. Again, you have the option of either using a clip
or a lock to make sure that everything is secure. I do recommend, to make sure that everything is secure, I do recommend, since you do get 4 of these keys, to keep an extra set in your vehicle or motorhome just in case. And those are going to be the main features of this bike rack. Being able to slide this out to make it easier to load and unload your bikes, as well as to get clearance into your vehicle, is pretty impressive. But what impressed me is actually the add-on cover that you can use with this rack. It's called the Let's Go Aero Bike Pack. I actually did a full review of the combo where you have your bike rack and your cover kitted together. Check that out here on our website. That provides coverage of your bikes to protect them from the UV rays, the elements, and the dust and debris that kicks up during those long road trips. Now, it does have its downsides though. With this rack, you don't have that much weight capacity for those extra heavy electric bikes. And if you need something that can fold up to be less intrusive when your bikes are not in place, there are other options for you too. You may want to consider the Ceres MHS 2 bike rack with a duo trays. That has an 80-pound weight capacity, tilts away, and it folds up. Plus, it's a lot easier to load bikes onto that tray compared to the wings that the Let's Go Aero V-Lectric has. However, the MHS Duo does not slide out and give you that superior clearance that you will get with this bike rack. So it really depends on what features do you prioritize, and that's how you can figure out which bike rack is best for you. So today, what we saw was the Let's Go Aero V-Lectric Bike Rack here at eTrailer. My name is Evangeline, and I hope you enjoyed the journey.